Hi, I'm Jacqueline Rinksmeyer, Executive Director of the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm Jared Fry, General Manager and Public Information Officer for the City of Medina and Medina TV.
One of the core values of the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce is business advocacy. We've been proud to partner with Medina TV on this voter education series for well over 10 years now. We're grateful to our interviewer and General Manager of Medina TV, Jared Fry, and our producer, Matt Tomick.
We're grateful for all the candidates that took part in the Candidates Forum, but we also want to stress that the opinions of those candidates are not those necessarily of Medina TV or the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce.
All candidates and contested races were invited to participate in this voter education program.
We want all voters to be informed to the best of the ability as they head to the ballot this November, so sit back and relax and enjoy our Candidates Forum.
We encourage you to make a plan to vote this November.
Joining me now in studio is the incumbent for the Medina County Commissioner seat that you'll see on the November ballot. I'm joined by Aaron Harrison. Aaron, thanks for joining us today.
Sure, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you. First, let's start off a real easy question for the folks that may not know yet. Just take a few minutes and tell us about yourself.
Sure, yeah. My name is Aaron Harrison. I'm a resident of Montville Township here in Medina County, obviously. I have my wife, Kelly, is a teacher in Brunswick. She's an art teacher in Brunswick Middle School. And then we have two children, both of whom attend Medina City Schools. Our son, Lincoln's a middle schooler, and our daughter, Lucille, is in 5th grade. So been in Medina for about 20 years since I finished law school. And in my time here, I've become really enamored with the community. My wife is a native, and really proud to raise our family here and have, I feel like, a lot of roots here. Kind of made it my adopted hometown over the last 20 years. So,
great. Now, kind of inform the residents to being the incumbent. How long have you been a Medina County Commissioner?
So I was appointed commissioner in January of 23. So I'm finishing my second year on the job. My predecessor was Bill Hudson, who was elected judge in the November 22 election. He was elected judge. So when he took his seat on the bench, as a Republican, the Republican Central Committee was tasked with identifying and selecting his replacement. Mm-hmm. So there was a field, I think, of about 6 of us. Mm-hmm. Couple township trustees went for the position, a couple city council folks, just some other, involved community members. And the way those elections or the replacement process works, it's not actually an election, but it's a nomination and selection process, and they keep taking votes until somebody has a majority. So of that pretty tough 6-person field, I was very honored to be selected with a majority of the votes on the 3rd ballot. So that started my term in January 23, and because his term was expiring in 2024, mm-hmm. That's why I'm on the ballot this year to run for a full 4-year term.
Gotcha. So for the people that may not know, and you've been able here for the last few years to step into that role, kind of explain the role of a county commissioner.
Sure. Yeah, the commissioners, I think sometimes people are more familiar with the city form of government or even village government, sometimes even township government, than they are with the operation of the county government. Our county government has a handful of elected officials. Those elected officials report directly to the voters. That's why they're elected. But the budgeting arm of the county government rests with the county commissioners. So as an elected body, we're a board of 3, we are responsible for managing the budget of those elected officials. Sometimes people say, so that means, the sheriff or the treasurer report to the commissioners. Well, no, that's not how it's set up by statute. They report directly to the voters and are up for their elected seats. But when it comes time to handle the finances of the county, that's where the commissioners step in. So it's very similar to the role that a city council would play. We're kind of the legislative and financial arm. But we also serve a little bit more in the in some of the kind of the, in a larger county like ours, there are kind of pieces and parts that don't fit in to the other county offices, countywide HR, or the buildings and the facilities maintenance and those kinds of things. Those are all departments that exist within the commissioner's department as well. So we have a county executive who we appoint to kind of oversee our function, and then we're the board that sits and oversees that whole process. So.
Great. And one of the things too, I guess there's issues that pop up amongst the county, whether it's in townships, villages, cities.
Right.
How do you handle that balance in working relationships with those entities as a commissioner?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, our county is one that's built, and I think part of the reason it's such a great place to live is because there's been a history of collaboration and cooperation between the different arms of government. So having good, proactive relationships, even though, again, village leaders and mayors in the cities don't report to the county, there are opportunities for us to work together. Even if it's something like a maintenance agreement for township roads or a portion of county roads that or a portion of city roads that the county says we're gonna handle this many miles of snow plowing in the city of Brunswick, and Brunswick's gonna pick up few miles in the county roads because it's easier for them to run their routes without having to have, if you've been on the roads when it snows, you don't want to see a snowplow truck trying to turn around in the middle of the road. So those kinds of, I think, traditional ways of collaborating, but then in Medina County, it goes way beyond that too, in that those relationships really, I think, help contribute to a community that's a great place to work, to raise a family and to build a business. And so I just see that as my role as commissioner is to find opportunities to be helpful to my fellow elected leaders, the people around the county, and if it's something that's a city responsibility or a county responsibility, but there's an opportunity for us to work together, I've found everybody in these offices around the county, irrespective of political party, is just always eager to lean in and do their part, and it's a great team environment to be part of, and I've just tried to not drop the ball when it's handed to me in the 2 years I've been serving.
Yeah.
So.
And what do you see as some of the biggest issues that are facing the county commissioners right now?
Well, I think, and I don't know if it's specific to the commissioners or specific to the county, but the continuing changing demographics of our county. We have a growing county, and we've got areas where the cities and townships are kind of the line between those is getting blurred. I live in Montville Township, and that's one of those areas where if you drive into the southern part of Medina City, it's some different parts. It's difficult to see where the city ends and where the township begins. And fortunately, in that specific instance, the township and the city have a very good, again, strong collaborative relationship to to kind of address the challenges that come with that. But there are challenges that come with that because we have to provide services. We have to make sure that it's not too taxing on the schools, that we're growing kind of in the right way, in a smart way. Our planning services in the county does a great job of helping the townships, with their zoning issues and other issues to make sure that as developments are approved and new housing goes in, and we see that in every corner of the county right now, that it's done in a way that's consistent with zoning requirements, with the strategic plans that a lot of these subdivisions have in place. And so I think that's one of the big challenges. I think the other big challenge that is always on my mind is we've got a lot of, as our population gets older, we've got people who've made a home here over an extended period of time. How do we keep costs from chasing them out of their home? And that specific, right now, the most talked about issue is property taxes, because as property tax burdens go up and the costs go up, people who've had their home paid for but are living on a fixed income, it becomes a real challenge for them to address that. That's not really something that the commissioners are in position to solve. I know there's some bills working their way through the General Assembly in Columbus that might address that, but it is something that's on our mind. We have to be fiscally responsible, and we can't say we're gonna create this new tax or pass this thing. There might be programs we really want to see expanded or created, but we've got to be very responsible, and I think our commissioners have done a good job of that, of being responsible, using the funds that are available from state, federal grant money, those kinds of things to expand programs so we're not taxing our citizens. We've got one of the lower sales tax rates in the state of Ohio, so those things are beneficial. But just addressing some of those challenges, I think, is going to continue for the next 4 years, assuming I'm fortunate enough to be reelected. That's going to be one of those things that's never going to be far from our minds when we're making any decisions that relate to people's pocketbooks.
Sure. And you kind of touched on this, but I'll kind of add to it a little bit so you can expand on it. affordable housing has been a big issue. Whether you're a young family just starting off, or as you just mentioned, a senior or elderly person maybe wanting to downsize or just stay in the home they're currently in.
Right.
What avenues, and you touched on it a little bit, but maybe you could expand on just what the commissioners can do to assist with that.
Sure. Well, one of the big ones happened just in the last year. We established a county land bank, and I serve as the treasurer of the county land bank, and I also am the vice chair. And in our work with the land bank, that's been one of the primary goals. When we first started discussing it, I really wanted to understand what the objective of the land bank was going to be, because we've had a lot of really good private investment locally to, both in, retail and commercial and kind of more in the, on the commercial side of things. But sometimes what gets overlooked is providing housing that most notably is affordable. Most recently, in our last update we got from the building department, I think the average new home start was upwards of the higher $400,000 to the cost of building a home. So, it's a challenge for all of us, because we want to make sure we're an attractive destination for young families and people who can be here to fill the jobs that we have in the great industry that we have in this community, but they need places to live. The inflationary environment that we're all operating in right now, the cost of just building the house that we normally see, these aren't fancy houses by Medina County standards, but it's just going up and up and up. And so everybody's working kind of in that world. And so the land bank, I think, is with a focus on providing workforce and residential type housing solutions. That's an area where it can really be impactful, and working within some of the resources, again, and funding that's available from the state to take advantage of that. We've got a good collaborative relationship with our Medina County Economic Development, and also a lot of the employers here to help identify those needs. And we're still developing the plan, because we're still in our infancy. We've been, I think, formed for maybe 6 months. It was earlier this year that it was created. But in the course of developing that strategic plan, our focus has been very much on the affordable housing issues. That's just one example, but we're open to creative ways of getting there. The other things are kind of, I think, working with the other leaders of, the townships and some of the areas where, that are in the process of being developed. In the cities and some of the places we've filled in those areas, a lot. And so I know, some of the areas in the surrounding townships outside of Brunswick or Medina or Wadsworth, just kind of working with them to make sure that within the existing plans and zoning requirements and things that they have, that we're giving them all the tools they need to provide some of those solutions, or be part of the solution at least, for affordable housing options for citizens. So it's a big problem, and so it's going to take all of us working together to come up with a solution. Sure. So
now, in terms, you kind of touched a little bit on the workforce. What, as you as a county commissioner, can you do to help assist or help small business as well as large industry that the county has? Sure.
I think one is chief and first and foremost above it is being fiscally responsible, because we have a duty to all of our taxpayers, but also to those people who provide our tax base, those employers who are critical to providing our tax base, to make sure we're not being frivolous with how we spend money. So keeping costs down on from the perspective of the county allows us to not have to go back to the taxpayers and be overly aggressive in what we're asking for tax dollars. But that's one type of an incentive. I think there are other types of incentive. We need to be creative and look at all the different tools, and the Ohio Department of Development has done a great job of making certain programs available that really can kind of supercharge our ability to attract. We're already doing a pretty good job of attracting businesses to Medina County, but to kind of help us unlock some of those things. the competitive advantage is going to come from solving problems that other counties have a challenge with. And I think it still goes back to, working collaboratively with the other leaders and saying, well, we may not have an immediately identifiable solution to bringing a certain industry to Medina, but when we start, we've got the same problem that 87 other counties have. It's a problem we need to solve. I think our ability to work together and come up with those solutions and say, well, maybe there's a fit in York Township for this, or there's something out in the western part of the county in Homer Township that is kind of an untapped resource, or these kinds of things. We can all do our part and all share in both the challenge of overcoming or identifying the solution, but then also in providing whatever the solution is. Mm-hmm. So I've got a lot of confidence in our ability to win when we all kind of sit down and work through the problem together. Mm-hmm. So.
Great. We're speaking with Aaron Harrison, the current Medina County Commissioner running for re-election this November. As you look at your time as County Commissioner, what's one of the things or a few of the things maybe that you're most proud of?
I'm really proud of so with commissioners, because there are three of us, we have different responsibilities, different areas of responsibility. So one of the things that I'm tasked with, I'm the liaison for our sheriff's office. I'm also one of our representatives to the countywide emergency management agency. So in my first year on the job, we found that there were some shortcomings in our emergency management agreement, and this is a countywide document. So every political subdivision, that's every township, every village, every city, and also the county, is a party to this agreement. And it basically is the organization that hopefully we never encounter, because they're there to respond to wide-scale, large-scale emergencies. If it would be a tornado or some of the other, you can imagine all the terrible things that could happen where they would become kind of at the forefront. And through just the course of events of the life cycle of an organization like that, there'd been some changes in the statutes that caused our agreement to be a little bit out of date. So when there's that many different parties involved, you've got to really work together, because people get nervous when a document that's existed for 30 years is undergoing kind of an overhaul. We didn't make a lot of fundamental changes to it, but we did make all the necessary changes to bring it into compliance with the law. And as a result of that, last fall I chaired the first the organizational meeting of kind of the new emergency management agency executive board. We got all of our appointees selected on it. It was one of the first times, it was at least the first time in over a decade that we'd had all of the subdivisions represented. They didn't all make it to the meeting, but we had a lot of representation. We had a quorum of those subdivisions and villages and cities at the meeting. And I just see a lot of value in, everybody kicks in their share, and some subdivisions pay more than others for their share of that service that's provided on a countywide basis. But being able to be part of kind of the exercise of bringing that up to speed and getting that, making that more current and kind of refreshing the document, making it compliant with the law, that was a big win for the whole county, and I was happy to be a part of that. So.
And now I'll put on the flip side for you, as upon if you get reelected for this next term, what's something you'd like to improve on?
Well, I think our current facilities that we have, we've done a really good job working through. We just built a new courthouse that predated me, but for the most part, you don't see a lot of new county buildings when you walk around, and that's part of our commitment to fiscal responsibility. But when you look at the condition of certain facilities, you say that one's overdue for an upgrade. So this might not be on a lot of people's radar, but something that is important to me, and I know is important to people in Medina County who are dog lovers. Our dog shelter is way overdue for an upgrade. And so we're kind of in the very infancy of a plan to overhaul and probably replace that facility. I've done some tours in both Ashland County and Wayne County to see the facilities that they have. Fortunately, I think our needs in Medina County are a little bit different than what they have. They have a lot larger census of dogs that stay there. But working on a more modern facility that is, that, keeps obviously the public protected. That's our charge when you have a facility like that, but also is safe for our staff. And we have a lot of volunteers. We have a volunteer program that's been started there. And then also, the dogs themselves. We want to have all of those things addressed, and we've got a blank slate for improvement, I think, as far as that facility is concerned. So that's something I'd really like to see take big strides in the next 4 years. So.
Again, we're speaking with Aaron Harrison, the current Medina County Commissioner running for re-election this November. You've been great in answering my questions and taking the time out for me, but I want to make sure I give you the opportunity one last time to speak directly to the voters. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to you.
Sure. Well, you're a voter too, right?
Yes. Of course.
Okay, good. So, well, I've been speaking to you, but I'll turn my attention, I guess, to the broader audience. I really appreciate the opportunity that the Central Committee gave me to serve in this role. I feel having 2 years to work and kind of learn the ropes has really prepared me for the next 4 years and seeing opportunities for improvement, whether it's the dog shelter or just continued improvement with our safety services. But most of all, I feel like I'm the person who has a commitment to this community. I have my family's here, and there isn't one decision that I make that isn't tied back to or doesn't tie back to what makes Medina County the best place to operate a business, to have your family, and really to live. And I know that runs across a lot of different areas, but keeping taxes low, keeping it affordable, and keeping our safety services funded, I think, are the most critical functions that we can perform. So I look forward to the next 4 years of kind of spreading my wings in that role, after having kind of a learning curve of the first 2 years, and really diving into those challenges and working through them with all the other leaders in Medina County. We're very fortunate to have a lot of fantastic elected leaders. I'm very honored to be a part of that group, and look forward to, if the voters see fit, to give me 4 more years to work through those things, to provide whatever solutions and service I can to the greater cause to keep this a great place. So.
Great. That's Aaron Harrison, the current Medina County Commissioner seeking re-election this November. Aaron, I want to thank you for your time today, and I want to wish you the best of luck this November.
Thank you, and thanks again for having me.
No problem.